friends, and welcome back to another Wednesday episode of me just watching random animated things on Netflix and seeing what happens from there. So, this week I was looking for something to watch, and I did initially see Carol at the End of the World, and it looked like an interesting concept, but I was like, I don't know if that's exactly what I wanted to watch at the moment. So I kept looking around, and then I saw the artwork for Dragon Age Absolution, and I was very excited because I saw dragon and I saw a very familiar feeling animation style, and I thought it was going to be more of the Dragon Prince. As you can see, I have my little Ezra Funko here. I love the Dragon Prince, and so I clicked on it and I was like, let's get into it. And quickly realized that Dragon Age and the Dragon Prince are two completely different things, and while they may have a similar story structure, elves are seen as the bottom level race of creatures slash people in this make-believe realms. These are two very different stories. So the log line for Dragon Age Absolution is the oldest surviving nation of Thetis, an invincible and magical government, allows the enslavement of elves. Several bloody uprisings lead to the end of slavery in the mystical nation. And so I'm assuming that the entirety of the series will lead to, the slavery being ended. So I just watched episode 1 of it to see if I wanted to even watch the rest of it. Let's talk about Dragon Age Absolution. But before we even get into it, I do want to talk about a review that I saw while I was researching if the Dragon Prince and Dragon Age were related at all. And I found one review that made me laugh because it let me know that I was in for a ride and that I probably was going to enjoy. It says, "Don't know what is happening to Netflix, but this kind of show is bad. It is obvious that this is just another woke BS agenda anime. First of all, I want to clear something for those who love to pin names and categories to others without even knowing them. I am not against homosexuals. They are a product of nature, the same heterosexuals are. But what makes me quit watching something is this. Do you remember or notice how movies or anime with heterosexual relationships have..." Anywho, it keeps going on, and there's like a whole essay. I didn't realize the review was this long. But essentially, they're like, get your politics out of my TV show. But like, literally in the 10 seconds of research I did before I started watching the show, I found out that it was about resisting against slavery. Politics were there the entire time, sir. I knew from this review that I was going to have a good time because they had a terrible time based off of things that I enjoy watching in media. So let's get into it. So I watched episode 1, which is titled Woman Unseen. And we start with a heist that is actually a ruse to see how strong our main characters are. Because the main leader of the group wants to add Miriam and Roland to their crew that they've already formed to go rescue their MacGuffin that they need. So they commissioned a heist off of something that they didn't necessarily need, but wanted to see like how they could do it. And once Miriam and Roland go back to like the meeting point with the leader of the thieves, whose name is Dolph, they go back. Can't fully remember the leader dude's name. And then like the way that the IMDb is set up, it's really hard to see because it shows like the voice actor's picture, then it shows names underneath it, but it's like I can't match that face to the name. I need to know what the character looked like. And then it just says like additional voices. Anywho, we're going to call him Nate because of Nate from Leverage, who was the ringleader. So Nate comes to the little like Dolph's Daggers hideaway and it's like, hey, I'm the one who commissioned this. I wanted to see how good you all were because I need to hire you for a mission that I'm trying to do. And he brings with him Hira, who has a history with Miriam. Essentially they used to date, but then Hira left to be a part of a different uprising and kind of just like left Miriam in the dust, and like Miriam was really in her feelings about that. Hira essentially is along to bring Miriam, and Roland is just kind of there for a good time, and just wherever Miriam goes he'll go. Like, all right, cool. Of course Miriam doesn't initially want to, but she gives in. So Dolph has some serious control issues because once Nate is trying to get Miriam and Roland to go with him, he's like, nobody could do anything without the Dolph's Dagger's permission. So they have a whole big fight, to which our main characters of course win because it's like the first 10 minutes of the show, and like that's exactly what has to happen. So Nate is essentially explaining that this fetch quest is to go get a MacGuffin called the Curriculum, and it's essentially a very powerful magical object that they are trying to keep out of the wrong hands, and so I guess they have to steal it so that the bad guys don't have it. Okay, you with me? Because even I got a little confused at this point. But the place where it's being held is the place that Miriam swore that she would never go back to. And so it takes a little bit of convincing, but of course Hira is able to get Miriam to change her mind and do it. And it was at this point where I started to have a little bit of suspicion about Hira, because Hira had a habit, even in this one episode, Hira had a habit of like giving just enough information to make Miriam want to change her mind, but like also not enough information so that Miriam could make a choice fully knowledgeable on her own. I don't know. You're not giving trustworthy. I don't like it. And granted, it could just be that maybe Hira is under some duress. Maybe Nate is like, we have to finesse this. I don't fully know. I don't trust Nate either, but I for sure don't trust Hira. And I'm hoping that maybe my mind will change if I continue to watch the show. But as for right now, I don't trust it. So now we have a travel montage to Venter. And pretty much like magic is the end all be all there. We find out elves are enslaved here. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, like they're seen as like essentially a lower caste of beings. But they're still able to like walk around for themselves. Because like later we see them all go into a bar and like no one is saying like, what are you doing at this establishment, but also are like, this is my table and you're gonna move because you're an elf and I'm at a higher social, like it was odd. We find out that Miriam was enslaved at the palace and then ended up running away. She essentially is like, I can't go back there because if I do, I'll probably get caught and jailed and enslaved again. And she doesn't want that. But she's the only person who has inside knowledge of how to get into the palace to get the MacGuffin. So they need her. So after a day or so of like planning and practicing and training and all that good stuff, they go to a bar to relax. You know, of course, Miriam is like being a like super hard ass and is like over in the corner looking over maps and stuff, and this guy comes over to the table and is like, you're in my seat. Is there a reason why you're in my seat?
You're in my seat, elf. There a reason for that? I'm sorry. Is this more important than listening to me?
Of course not, sir. Apologies.
All of her friends come to her defense, and there is a scuffle that turns into like a full like brawl in the bar, and it kind of just like helps Miriam to realize that like, oh, these are her friends, they're here for her, like they have her back. And so she's like, there's a way for us to get in, but it means I have to go back into the castle. To which I thought that meant that she was going to get like captured and maybe thrown in like a gallows or something and then escape from that and then go find the thing. But no, it literally just meant like put a cape on, throw the hood up, walk to the front door and be like, oh, here's the mark of, I don't know, maybe it's like the palace mark of like the palace like slaves who work there. And she was able to go in, and then she went to, I guess, like a particular like guards quarters or something and like marked all of them and then went to go open the door. And I was just like, I feel like we made this plan so much more dramatic than it needed to be, because it's like, there's only one way in and I have to be the one to do it because I know the, and it's just like, you walked through the front door. It wasn't even like in Blue Eye Samurai to where when she walked through the front door, she was marking people left and right because she couldn't get through the door because she had no reason to be there. You used to be here, granted, in a position of servitude, but you were literally able to just walk through the door. Like, why was it boosted up to this level to where I'm thinking this is about to be a like knockdown cage fight just to get through the door? She gets in the castle, she knocks out the guards, she's able to let her friends in, and that is the end of episode 1. So just from that, I'm kind of just like, I don't fully know how I feel. I'll probably give it a few more episodes and see if like that hooks me, because the first episode didn't necessarily hook me, but I am here for seeing people of color in my animation and gay people in my animation, and just honestly stories about people who identify differently than the status quo just living their lives. The story doesn't revolve around Miriam and Hira's will they, won't they? Because honestly, they shouldn't, but they probably will, because story. The main aspect of the story is we have to get this magical object to get it out of the hands of the bad guy. I don't trust Nate. I don't trust him at all. But we gonna see what happens. If you all have watched this, 'cause I know this show has been out for a while. If you all have watched it, let me know what you all think about it. If you all have any other recommendations for me, I'm gonna watch something for Sunday's Black Classic review, but then I probably won't be watching anything else until the new year. But yeah, if y'all have any recommendations for me, I would greatly appreciate all of that. And until then, I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all the things. And y'all be safe out here. Bye.